A very good evening. Thank you for joining us here on India Tonight. I'm Nivedna Prabhu, and with me is my colleague Sumita Karir. Over the next 1 hour, we take you through the top stories. But let's begin with our top focus for the hour. In a show of strengthening ties amid global tensions, Russian President Putin has showered praise on Prime Minister Modi, calling him a balanced and wise leader who always puts India first. In fact, speaking at the discussion club in Sochi, Putin defended India's continued oil imports from Russia despite, remember, US pressure and tariffs under President Trump, vowing that any economic losses would be offset through expanded bilateral trade in areas like agriculture and pharmaceuticals. In fact, he described the India-Russia bond as a special relationship rooted in history with no interstate tensions ever marring their path, Sumita. In fact, very important words given what we've been looking at unfold here.
A very important messaging coming in from President Putin. Meanwhile, closer home, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman warned today that the international order is undergoing a profound morphing, not a fleeting storm, but it's a structural shift that's happening towards multipolarity. In fact, she was addressing the Kautilya Economic Conclave in New Delhi. She highlighted how trade flows are being reshaped, alliances are being tested, and investments rerouted along geopolitical fault lines. She also urged inclusive global cooperation to navigate the turbulence. But coming back to what President Putin said, the big question that we're asking on the show tonight is President Putin a wiser investor and deal maker than Donald Trump? Well, we'll take that up with our guest tonight. But first, let's listen into the reactions we're getting, of course, of President Putin, of what the ME essentially also stated and what the finance minister stated earlier in the day today.
The Indian people will look at what decisions are made by the political leadership and never accept any humiliation before anyone. And also I know Prime Minister Modi, he will never take any steps of the kind. So economy-wise, there is no point in it.
No nation can insulate itself from the systemic changes. Whether we welcome these shifts or not, we must prepare to engage with them. At the same time, geopolitical conflicts are intensifying. Sanctions, tariffs, and decoupling strategies are reshaping global supply chains. For India, these dynamics highlight both vulnerability and resilience. Our capacity to absorb shocks is strong, while our economic leverage is evolving.
India-Russia, we enjoy a special and privileged strategic partnership. We look forward to strengthening these ties, and we want to strengthen each and every segment that we are together working on. Trade issues, economic issues, investment issues, defense relations, so on and so forth, science and technology. Both sides are committed. We look forward to strengthening our economic ties, as you pointed out, and we look forward to further building on our ties with Russia.
All right, we heard all those reactions. Of course, we'll decode that further. But joining us on the show tonight is a stellar panel. Let me take the opportunity to be introducing them. Manoj Joshi, Distinguished Fellow, ORF, joining us on the show. Also, Senior Kundarativa, Senior Russian journalist, as well as Anand Ahuja, Attorney at Law. Good evening, all of you. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Mr. Joshi, let me begin with you. Given what Putin has said, and also given the fact that in that particular statement of saying that how India will not allow itself to be humiliated by the US tariffs, would you call this the clearest validation yet of India's strategic autonomy on the global stage today?
I'm not so sure about that, because when it comes with what President Putin said, he said that, India will be a loser if it abandons oil imports from Russia, and the kind of loss will not be made up by the United States. But, it's not that simple. Our trade with Russia before the oil issue came up was very, very small, just to the order of about 10 billion to $12 billion. So the 63 billion that is being cited is largely on account of oil. And this oil, to be very frank, India can acquire from anywhere. We can get it from Iraq, we can get it from Saudi Arabia, we can get it from Venezuela. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm not so sure we need to round up our relationship with Russia much, much more. Now, Putin has suggested various lines to strengthen that relationship, but as of now, it's not all that strong.
Right. So you're essentially suggesting, Mr. Joshi, that the ties between Russia and India are not that strong. But let me take that point across to Asenia. Asenia, do come in on this. How do you really weigh in on Putin's messaging here, stating that India won't accept humiliation? He also called the Prime Minister wise and balanced and stated that there is a need on part of Russia to fix this trade imbalance with India. In that sense, the communication that's going out from President Putin, do you think he's a better negotiator, he's a better deal maker than Donald Trump, who only believes in arm-twisting allies and good friends?
Hi from Moscow, and thanks for having me. I think it's important, and I think it's important for Kremlin to distinguish, between trade and deal making and the strategic relationship. And I think Mr. Putin, that's the core of his message, that while having trade with a country is one thing, you cannot coerce this country for whatever political reasons, and that's what I think he meant. The U.S. and not only the U.S., the European nations are doing. In your quote of Nirmala Sitharaman that you have just showed, she's also talking about decoupling strategies, and we just last week, I believe, heard European leaders talking about decoupling India, from Russia to have a better deal, to go ahead with a trade deal. So EU wants to decouple India from Russia to have a trade deal. That is not acceptable in this kind of
right,
a world.
Senior, you're talking about a global geoeconomic. You're talking about global geoeconomic developments. While we are firmly focused at the moment, we'll come to all of those points in just a bit. But Mr. Joshi, is Putin a better negotiator in terms of how he's approaching to communicate with India? He's also spoken about India's civilizational values. He's spoken about his friendship with India. He's also addressed this trade deficit that Russia has with India. And he said that, we are open to doing trade with you in areas of defense, in areas of agriculture, unlike Donald Trump, who only wants what he wants without actually caring two hoots about what the other side, what the ally wants.
Well, there's very little doubt that Putin is a better friend of India than Donald Trump is. Meaning Donald Trump has been a completely erratic figure in dealing with India, whereas Putin, the relationship that we have with Russia and with President Putin is a seasoned relationship. And I think it's a very mature relationship. It's real strength. Whereas in the case of the United States, we really don't know what Trump might think up tomorrow. We've been, undergoing shock after shock in the manner in which Putin has been, Trump has been dealing with India. So there's no doubt in my mind that Putin is a far more mature figure and far more friendly figure towards India than Donald Trump is.
Right, Mr. Joshi. In fact, we'll decode that further in terms of how you have just said that. But let me also take that opportunity to take it across to Mr. Ahuja. Mr. Ahuja, not only thank you for joining us, but also being extremely patient, but we've had the opportunity to come to you. We heard what Mr. Joshi said in terms of how, with Trump, it has been absolutely unpredictable in terms of how he has approached this. But while we're looking at the Putin's comments as well, but he's warned of the tariffs that will push up global prices and keep U.S. interest rates high and hurt America's own economy. Is Trump's tariff play essentially a self-inflicted wound that advantages India? Mr. Ahuja?
Yeah, so basically there are a couple of issues here. Number one, I don't agree with Mr. Joshi's, with due respect to Mr. Joshi, his statement that Trump's behavior has been erratic. We have to understand Trump, when was a candidate and he was contesting the election, he made certain promises to United States masses. So voters, they knew that once Trump is elected, tariff is going to be a major issue in United States foreign policy. So it's not something that out of a blue that Trump has come and he has announced his tariff policy. Secondly, it's wrong to say that Trump's behavior has been in a particular manner towards India only. Trump has imposed tariff on 86 other countries. It's a fair a trade deal. Trump is not saying, Trump is simply asking that let's have a reciprocal trade deal. If Trump behavior can be termed as erratic, if Trump is saying hold on, if Trump is saying that you are imposing 10%
Mr.
tariff on
Ahuja,
us,
Mr. Ahuja, if I can come in on this. Right. Mr. Ahuja, I'll have to interject you here. You're stating that Donald Trump is not erratic, but what do you make of the commentary that he's made with respect to the Indian economy? He's called it dead economy. You call India a dead economy, but you want to do trade deal with India. He has also slapped triple-digit tariffs on China. Let me finish, sir, and then you can speak. He's also slapped triple-digit tariffs on China, but yet he's said that, we want to do a trade deal with you. He's also reversed the deadlines that he's earlier said. Earlier, there was a July deadline, and then he, of course, expanded that and extended that. And the way he's dealt with Putin and Zelensky, completely berating Zelensky in the White House, which no other leader ever has done in the Oval Office. Would you not call this erratic?
Okay, can I respond now? So first of all, with China, we are getting
so just yes or no. A plain yes or no would work.
So there cannot be, I'm not in the courtroom standing in a witness box and you're asking me yes or no, you are there or you are not there, yes or no. It's a panel discussion. You have to give me an opportunity to respond to your question. I'm not here standing here and
but you have
as
to
an
agree
accused.
to the basic facts first, sir.
Hold on.
Facts, sir.
No, with due respect to you, I'm not standing here. I'm not here in a courtroom as an accused and you are asking me, did you commit crime or you did not crime? Say yes or no. You want to have a panel discussion, you want to me to respond to you, then you have to listen
Yes,
to
sir,
me.
go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, you have to understand, with China, we have a leverage. With India, what leverage India has with United States in terms of trade relationship? What India is exporting to United States? Garments, jewelry, which India can get from any damn country. We are dependent upon China because we are getting rare minerals from China. Secondly, we are still having a trade negotiation with China. With India, India has been very rigid about the trade negotiation. India's position has been absolutely no. There is a red line. You are talking about Russia. You are forgetting about that our relationship has been history. If we look into was with Soviet Union. Today, 95% of Soviet Union countries are not with India. So it's only few countries of former Soviet Union, they are with India today. So there are so many issues involved here. It's not just trade issue. There's a geopolitical issue. There's strategic relationship issue. There are so many issues that are involved here.
Issue. Right, sir. Absolutely, sir. There are many issues involved here, but the point of this discussion, the point that we are discussing is whether Donald Trump is erratic in his policies or not. You're completely shifting the goalpost. If you could once again answer whether Donald Trump has not moved away from his earlier stances. Has he not moved away?
No, absolutely no. Absolutely no. So the reason is, he said that I will bring peace between.
So why does he want to do a deal with India if he considers India a dead economy?
Can I respond to?
Why does he want to sell agricultural products made in the United States in India? Because he knows that India is a large market for agricultural products which might not be consumed in the United States.
Right now, today we are having a soybean deal with China. We are negotiating with China also with respect to our export of our agricultural products. So China and India, they are the two big markets for our agriculture products. Now coming back to Trump's changing position, you have to understand, Trump made a promise that I will bring peace between Ukraine and Russia. He made his efforts. When both the countries have become adamant, you have to understand, Trump is a mediator. Trump is not in the war with Russia or with Ukraine. Trump is making his best efforts to bring peace in Gaza. Trump is making his best efforts to bring peace in Ukraine and Russia. If both the fighting parties, they are adamant, if both the parties are adamant, they don't want to have any compromise, they don't want to have
All right,
any
Mr.
peace,
Ahuja, you
then
made
what a
your
mediator can do?
you made your
What mediator
point.
can
We'll
do?
come back to you as far as the other aspects of this is concerned, but I'd have to interject you there. Let me also get in a word from the other panelists as well. Senior, let me come to you. Given what Putin has insisted that India and China will not allow themselves to be humiliated, and from Moscow's vantage point, is this dispute only about trade, or is it about civilization powers reclaiming space against Western diktats? And it's also, going back to the point that you were also making about in your opening remarks, because is America in danger of undermining its own economic leverage while India gains prestige and alternatives as well?
Well, I think what's important here, and coming back also to the previous discussions, India is both China, of course.
Yeah.
China is second largest economy, but India is a huge market, a rapidly growing economy. And I think the US, the Western powers there, are fearing, two large economies growing. First, it was just China. Now it's India also coming up. So they're trying to use whatever means. They don't have economic means. If you don't consider sanctions as economic means, of course, these are illegal sanctions that how is Moscow and many other countries view it. So they can't really negotiate trade deal with India that will serve their interests and Indian interests. So they're trying to use those tools like sanctions and tariffs to pave the way. But India, of course, is
Right.
has
Absolutely.
responded well to that, and I think that's what
Absolutely, and
Mr.
Senior,
Putin
India is not
highlighted.
going to do any deal. India is not going to do any deal under pressure. In fact, that's essentially what the messaging has been from the government of India, and in fact, what we've seen transpire over these past couple of months. Let me come to you, Mr. Joshi. Mr. Joshi, let's go back to what President Putin essentially said. President Putin said that India could face losses if it does not trade with Russia. At the moment, you'd know that India is sourcing its energy needs from diverse set of countries, including Saudi, UAE, to some extent United States as well, along with Russia. So when President Putin says that India will face losses, is that assumption on his part correct?
I'm not so sure about that. In the sense, yes, immediately switching could create that problem. But my understanding is that if we switch gradually, it can be managed, that provided we want to switch. The issue right now is geopolitical, not really economic. As I told you, that oil is available in the market. We can buy it from many other places. Don't forget, we are also following American sanctions on purchasing oil, which is closest to us, which is Iran. We could buy from Iran as well. So the issue right now is geopolitical. The point is, Mr. Trump is trying to bully India. He has imposed 25% additional tariffs on India for purchasing Russian oil. And he has not placed similar tariffs on China, which purchases more Russian oil than India. Number one. Number two, he has removed the waiver that the Americans had given us on our ability to work in Chabahar. Now, what was the purpose of that? That is entirely an Indian project, an Indian funded project, and the Americans are imposing third country sanctions on us. So I see it as an example of erratic behavior because, we were very close to the US, meaning through the Biden administration, we were getting closer and closer to the United States. And now suddenly Mr. Trump has come. And as I said, he has thrown everything. And, India is not the only issue. He's doing many things domestically, which are ruining his country. He's already ruined his relationship with Europe. And he is trying his best to ruin the relationship with South Korea and with Japan. So what I'm trying to get at is that there is a problem with the Trump issue. And in that situation, Mr. Putin's very mature and even-handed thing, in the sense that I don't think Putin, if we stop buying Russian oil, because we've been buying Russian oil only since 2022. So we could gradually stop buying it. I don't think that will create much of a problem. But we need to develop a larger relationship with Russia.
Ahuja, I do see that you beg to differ. Would you want to come in?
Yeah, I would like to. First of all, can I speak? Can I say one thing, Mr. Joshi? First of all, you should worried about what is happening in India, then about domestic policies of United States. Okay, it doesn't look nice of a person of your stature to say that USA is being ruined by Trump. We voters, we have to decide whether we prefer Trump or we prefer Biden. Number two, as far as coming to your second part is concerned, I agree with you. It's more of an issue of geopolitics than of merely trade war. Geopolitics, if you see, now we see that there's a shifting alliances going on with the emergence of BRICS, with the emergence of other regional power groups. Things have taking totally a different route. You have to see that India joined Quad because India was concerned about China. Today, India is going more towards China than towards United States. So probably India does not need to be a member of Quad if India is not concerned about China. Same way, USA is now going more towards Pakistan than towards India because USA needs Pakistan help in bringing peace in Gaza as well as with respect to Israel-Iran conflict. So you have to understand the shift in the geopolitics. Till few years back, USA was not much. The same Trump who used to accuse.
So what's the point that you're trying to make here?
I'm trying to say the same Trump who used to accuse Pakistan today is going cozy with Pakistan because USA needs Pakistan help in bringing peace in Gaza. USA
so would you still not agree that Trump is erratic?
It's not erratic. It's a changing circumstances. You call Modi erratic when Modi is going to China and India media is going gaga over Modi's visit to China.
The Prime Minister has, Mr. Ahuja, the Prime Minister has consistently maintained its ties, and in fact, we have maintained our ties with all countries. We are not bullying anyone like Donald Trump is. We're not pressurizing countries to do a deal with us. And of course, the Prime Minister stated that, we welcome Donald Trump's tweets and the fact that he stated that India and US ties are going well. And then another one, a flip-flop came in from Donald Trump. Let me come to you, Mr. Joshi. Let's carry forward that point that we were earlier discussing about, the possibility of India increasing its energy trade with other countries and perhaps reducing it with Russia. Do you think that's a feasibility that's feasible? That's a possibility that India could eventually look at? And is Russia sensing that sort of a threat looming on the horizon?
My own belief is that we do not necessarily have to reduce oil trade with Russia. In fact, we can increase it. And you know that we have this agreement with Russia, the Vladivostok-Chennai economic corridor that we have agreed to with Russia. This is really an energy corridor. There are some Indian energy companies who have invested in Russia. So I'm not necessarily advocating that. All I'm trying to say is that if you feel American pressure, you can reduce oil trade. But in my own personal opinion, I don't think we should. The point is, I think we need to, what has happened is that the Europeans have embargoed Russia, and Russia is looking south. South meaning towards Southern Asia for greater trade. Till now, Russia was looking to the west, to Europe. So we have an opportunity here. We have an opportunity to enhance our trade with Russia dramatically. And we should take that opportunity. Don't forget, we've been working hard at it for quite some time. There is the international north-south transportation corridor that we've been working at since the year 2000. There is also the Chabahar. Now, the big problem here is Iran. And again, the problem in Iran is the US embargo. You see, if we can get over that, our trade with Russia can flourish.
I don't understand your policy. On one side,
Right,
you are
Mr.
so
Joshi, you
much
make a
scared
fair
of.
point. In fact, let me take that to Senior. Senior, Russia is offering greater market access to Indian exporters hit by the tariffs. But should India also view this as symbolic reassurance or as a concrete shift that could alter trade balances, Senior?
See, there is nothing symbolic about doing the, expanding trade and trying to ease those. As Mr. Joshi rightly said, our trade, India-Russia trade, used to be in the range of 10 to 12 billion before 2023, and then it, of course, rocketed because of oil trade. But in the past 2 years, and believe me, I've been covering Russia-India relations for past 15 years, the kind of movements that have been done in the past 2 years regarding the payment mechanism, of course, sanctions against Russia helped to make those moves. Regarding the logistics, the Vladivostok-Chennai corridor, which used to be used in 60s and which was dead since the Soviet times, it's revived, it's operational. It's just that we need to get those companies on board to start operating that. It's not that easy because, again, sanctions, insurance, a lot of technical issues involved there. But the kind of progress that we have seen, and a lot of analysts point that out, that have been made in the past 2 years, really tells us that both governments want just to trade to happen. 2 days
Right.
back, I was talking to a textile exporter from India
Right,
here in
absolutely.
Moscow.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Senia, and which is why there is that, defense partnership that's going on between India and Russia. And of course, we did hear President Putin say that they want to increase agri-trade with India. And we also did witness the fact that a trade team was here in New Delhi earlier this week to sort of have deals related to agriculture going. But let me come to you, Mr. Joshi. When we talk about negotiating tactics of both Donald Trump and Putin, do you think Trump, in a way, is proving to be a greedy investor with no long-term outlook? And how do you really see that playing out at the ASEAN summit, where he's expected to come, where Prime Minister Modi is going to be there as well?
Well, the thing is, when you look at it in balance, we cannot afford to lose the United States either. So in the sense, Mr. Modi, his strategy, Trump has claimed 50 times that he's stopped the India-Pakistan war. But so we've got to take it on the chin. And Modi has been largely taking it on the chin. He has not been making a big issue of it. Trump has been saying, as I mentioned, Chabahar, all these issues have happened. And yet India has had to take it on the chin for the simple reason that US is also an extremely important element for us. Meaning we have a huge trade surplus with the US. We look at the US as a technology and FDI investor. So everything that we do, we have to look at it in balance, but we cannot geopolitically sacrifice our relationship with Russia for our relationship with the US. Geopolitically, we maintain our strategic autonomy, and we would like it that way. And if there is any attempt, whether it is to attack BRICS or whether it is to attack the India-Russia trade, I think we should resist that.
Can I add
So,
one
Mr.
thing to
Joshi,
here?
perhaps in a nutshell, saying it can't be this or that, it has to be in tandem with it. But on that note, I want to thank you, as well as Senior and Mr. Ahuja, for joining us tonight. But for the moment, we leave it at that.